Okay. Hi you guys, my name is Grace, and this November I'm going to participate in the Bloomin Read-A-Thon, which is hosted by Allie and Kirsty. And so I wanted to talk about my Bloomin Read-A-Thon November TBR today. So here we go. Oh, here's what the bingo board looks like. So I'm going to kind of explain, what am I going to explain? So I'm just going to go through each of the spaces. I can't read 30 books in 1 month. That's not within my realm of possibility. So a lot of these books are going to be on multiple spaces. So that I don't know, it's going to be redundant in some way, in some capacity. I'm just not sure how yet. So yeah, how about I quit talking about it and start doing it. Okay. So space number 1 is the B space, which is a book with a lot of buzz around it. So listen, I'm trying to really hack at my physical TBR before the end of the year. And so also I'm standing up. I stood up for this video and for the last video. And I feel like I'm breathing heavily. So I apologize if my breathing is distracting to you in some way, because I know it's distracting to me. So number 1, square with a lot of buzz. I'm going with The Great Circle. There's no the, so just Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. This book was shortlisted for the Women's Prize, so I feel like that constitutes buzz. I have talked about this book on my channel before. I've wanted to read it for quite a while. I got it for my birthday. Basically, 2 timelines. One lady is a pilot. The other lady is an actress portraying her, and there's unfolding. I'm referencing 2 different sets of notes here, so we've gotten quite professional. So I'm going to be looking down a lot, and I want to apologize, but I also don't want to apologize. Number 2, Cloud Space, a book that'll make you emotional. I'm going with Each Little Bird That Sings by Deborah Wiles. It's a children's book, or a middle grade book, about death and grief. So planning on that, knocking the wind out of me. Number 3 is The Sun Space, which is a book that'll make you happy. And I'm going to read, I was literally this close to saying Toddlers and Tiaras. I'm going to read Legends and Lattes We're okay. We're okay. Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I am really excited about this one. It's probably going to be the first book I read in November, just coming off of Halloween. And it's also almost due at the library, so I'm going to have to get that one done quite quickly. Next is The Moon Space, which is a book that takes place in a country that isn't your own. Finally gonna get around to Convenience Store Women. I know, I've said it before. If I've said it once, I've said it a million times, but I am going to read this book, and it's happening this month. Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. It's a favorite of Allie, who is one of the hosts of the Bloomin Read-A-Thon. It's translated from Japanese, and I got this far. I'm on the 3rd page from when I previously tried it. So, okay, this one I'm very excited about. The next space is a tree space. So that's reading a nonfiction book. And I'm really deliberate with my choice on this one. I want to read an Indigenous people's history of the United States, especially because November, Thanksgiving, and in the United States, you grow up with this very whitewashed notion of relations with the Indigenous people and the Pilgrims and a bountiful harvest. And I just am trying to really decolonize a lot in my life right now. And I just you know what I mean. I feel like you know what I mean. Okay, for the daffodil space, it's non-romantic love. It's a book centering non-romantic love. I'm going to count Each Little Bird That Sings for that because it is a lot about this girl and her family and the love of her family. For the cacti space, okay, for the cacti, what did I pick for this? Why don't I consult my, okay. Cacti space is either a short book or an anthology, and I want a short book. This is my short book. It is 150 pages. For the variegated space, this is a book that's on the rarer side. And I have chosen Little by Edward Carey. I've never heard anyone talk about this book, and it only got on my radar because the Storygraph recommended it to me. I did start this book, and it felt more like an autumn read to me, so I kind of put a hold on it. It is kind of moody and dark. It so far is about this little girl. I also don't know if I'm going to like this book or finish it, so I reserve the right to DNF. But it's basically about this little girl that her and her mom move in with this like wax enthusiast. He like creates like body parts made out of wax. And then the mom dies, and so the girl like becomes an apprentice to the wax man. And that's kind of what happens so far. Next, the propagation space, which is to read a book that has an adaptation. I'm going for American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I feel like Neil Gaiman is a great like spooky time, Halloween, but also just like fall author. I'm only basing that. I've read Coraline and American Gods. No, I've read Coraline and Good Omens, and they are both like I feel like they're great autumn, like second half of the year reads. And so this one, I love this edition, but man, is it thick. I'm nervous about it. So I don't really know what it's about, but I like Greek mythology. And so if there's some sort of gods situation, some sort of pantheon, some sort of divinity, I think I'm going to get into it. Next is the spider space, which is to read a dark book. So I'm going to read, hopefully, I'm literally, as I'm going through this, I'm like, yikes, this is a lot. This is a lot of like thick books. But for my dark read, Spider Space, I'm reading City of Saints and Madmen by Jeff Vandermeer. I'm assuming this is dark just based on the Southern Reach trilogy by Jeff Vandermeer, which I read and loved. I think he just like has some spooky, dark, creepy, disturbing stuff. Also, like, how cool is this cover? I love it. And so, yeah, I want to read this trilogy. I'm assuming I'll like the whole trilogy, but I want to read the first book and see how we go from there. I don't really know what it's about, and I don't want to know what it's about. I want it to be a surprise. Okay, the next square is the Lotus Square, which is a book with disability rep. And I was not able to find any books on my shelf that I knew of that had disability rep. So if you know any books that have disability rep that like you really love or that you think I would enjoy, please let me know down below, because I definitely want to mark that off. Okay, the next, I don't really know what my rationale was for this one. The next book is the Succulent Square, which is a book that makes you hot. So that can be like sexy, angry. I don't know. It's like very much up for interpretation. So I am picking a book that I have been hot for all year, because I've been really excited for this book and really waiting in anticipation. And I pre-ordered it, and guess what? I still haven't read it yet, but that's The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. If you've been around here for any time at all, you will know that I have been really excited for this book. I've been hot for it. So that's the book I'm reading. Okay, The White Lily Space is a book about grief. So again, we have Each Little Bird That Sings. We're getting our mileage out of this one. The Snail Space is a slow burn, a book that's a slow burn. And I can only assume that this book is a slow burn, just based on the sheer girth of it. If you've read this book before, let me know if I'm way off base, but I'm counting this as our slow burn. Next is The Water Space, which is a book you're thirsty for more of. So I've got to say, Jeff Vandermeer, like I said, I loved the Southern Reach trilogy. That's Annihilation, Authority, and Acceptance. I freaking like ate that shit up. I loved that trilogy. So I'm hoping that this one kind of does the same thing for me. Okay, next is Fertilizer, which is a book that'll nourish your soul. I hate to use this book for everything. I don't actually. I don't, because I think that I'm really going to enjoy this book a lot. Sally Timms is who I heard about this book from, and she loves it, and she has like nothing but good things to say about it. And this little sticker right here is almost a guarantee that I'm going to cry my little eyes out. So I'm excited about this one. Next, the Green Carnation Square, which is a square with LGBTQ rep. That's going to be Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. If you haven't heard about this book before, I mean, like, there's not much I can say. It's like a cute, cozy, queer love story that takes place in like a fantastical world, like a Dungeons and Dragons world. But I think it's an orc, runs a coffee shop. Adorable. And I'm also going to use Legends and Lattes for the Tulip Square, which is a romantic book. So there's a love story in that one. Okay, this is another one that I was stuck on. The Ladybug Square is a book that has a simple cover but deep insides. And I don't feel like any of the books that I've already mentioned fit that prompt. So if you have one that you love that you're like, oh my God, Grace, read this book, simple cover, deep insides, please let me know. Oh, I forgot about this one. Oh my God, this is so many books. Okay, this is so many. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this. I can and I will. Also, there's no pressure. It's just about having fun. So the Root Square is a reread, Return to Your Roots. And so whenever I do a reread, I always look at my favorite shelves because those are obviously part of what makes something a favorite of mine, is that I would reread it again and again. And I've actually been thinking about this book because Allie just read it in one of her most recent vlogs. So the book that I will aspire to reread is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. It's so perfect for this time of year. It's like such a good fall read that I might not read all of these, but I definitely think I'm going to read this one because I love this book. It's so cozy and atmospheric. It's like a really beautiful, like lyrical, flowery novel about stories and adventure and love. I love it. So, wow, I'm excited about that. Okay. Next is the Ivy Square, which is a book that is highly rated. So I'm going to return to the first book I mentioned. Sorry, this is like all very precariously set up. So if you're jiggling, I'm sorry about that. Great Circle, nominated, shortlisted for the Women's Prize. Can you get more highly rated than that? Oh, and then the next square is a Dandelion Square, which is something that has been a weed on your TBR. And I'm going to call this guy, even though he's a pretty recent addition. I think it's because it's not like I have the recommendation of another person to like really inspire me, or that I've heard anybody else read this book and be like, oh my God, I love it. It's like totally out of nowhere. It's written by a white guy. So I don't know. I mean, so is Jeff Vandermeer's white guy too, but like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm nervous. This makes me nervous. I'm sure he's great. His wife is an author too. I don't know if you knew that. Ooh, okay. And then lastly, the last square is the Mole Square, which is a square with a strong antagonist. Need I say more? So that's it. That's my November Bloomin' Read-A-Thon TBR. It is a huge undertaking. It is ambitious. It is optimistic. But you know what? I'm an optimist. And I think it just might happen. If you know of a great book with disability rep, if you know of a book with a simple cover and deep insides, please drop them down below. Thank you so much for watching. I was looking, I just noticed my subscriber count has like gone up recently. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot, but it's like so cool to have people subscribe to my channel when I just like do these videos for fun, and I really love BookTube. So it means a lot. Thank you guys. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.